Let's see. We talked about special right triangles yesterday. I showed you how to make the chart. All right, so here we go with more examples then. Okay, so now we're going to be combining what we did yesterday with what we just talked about with reference angles. All right, so this says find the exact values of sine 225, cosine 225, and tangent 225. Now, when they say exact values, that means don't use your calculator. I mean, when I say don't use your calculator, I don't want the value that your calculator gives me, because that's a decimal, and I don't want that. I want an exact number, which means it's going to be a fraction or might have a radical in it, but it's not a decimal. All right, so sine of 225. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a coordinate grid. I'm going to draw a 225-degree angle. So starting on my initial side, 225. That's going to be over here somewhere. So this is 225. So my reference angle is going to go back to the x-axis. So my reference angle is right here. What is that reference angle? And how do I figure it out?
Subtract 180 from...
Very good. You're going to subtract 180 from 225. That means that my reference angle is 45. That makes this a 45, 45, 90, which means my legs are 1 and 1. And my hypotenuse is the square root of 2. Now, you could just set it all up and figure out sine, cosine, and tangent, or you can check your chart that you made yesterday, sine, cosine, and tangent of a 45-degree angle. So that means those are the sine, cosine, and tangent of a 225-degree angle too, with one exception. It's not in quadrant 1. So they're not all positive. So, I'm going to write them down real quick. Sine of 225 is going to be square root of 2 over 2. Cosine of 225 is going to be square root of 2 over 2. And tangent of 225 is going to be 1. Now I have to think to myself, all students take calculus. So in quadrant 3, the only thing that's positive is tangent. Everything else is negative. Y'all okay? All right, let's do another one. Same idea. Daniel, you good over there?
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to find the exact value of tangent 675. So take a second, see if you can figure it out. All right, so I subtracted from 360. That gave me 315. So 315 ends in quadrant 4. I drew a triangle back to the x-axis. My reference angle is 45 again, because that would complete the circle. So it's a 45, 45, 90. Tangent over 45, 45, 90 is 1. But in quadrant 4, tangent is negative, so I got negative 1. Everybody okay? Questions? We all good? All right. Let's do one more like this. All right, so find the exact value of cosine negative 240. So again, take a second and see if you can do it. All right, so negative 240. So I drew negative 240 in. So remember, that means it's going to swing clockwise. So it goes past 180 and into quadrant 2. That makes my reference angle a 60-degree angle. So I just went to my chart. Cosine of a 60-degree angle is a half. But in quadrant 2, cosine is negative. Because all students, the only thing positive there is sine and cosecant. So, is that good? Everybody good? All right. Okay, so the other thing that we can do is we can use the idea of reference angles and special right triangles to start solving simple trig equations. So a couple of things you need to make sure that you remember. These are just things to pay attention to. Always pay close attention to the sign of the trig function. And its quadrant. So just double check yourself. Check, check, double check, recheck that you're in the correct quadrant with the right sign. So that you don't miss something just because you forgot you got to have a negative sign on it. Always associate cosine with x values, and always associate sine with y values. I think it's because I don't know why, we always say sine and cosine like that. We always say sine first. But it makes sense if you think about it. X and Y are in alphabetical order, and cosine and sine would be alphabetical order. So cosine goes with X, and sine goes with Y. That's a mistake that happens a lot. So try to get that in your brain already, that you're going to start to associate those things. And that, I promise, will come in handy a whole lot later. All right, so we're going to do one more type of problem, and it's solving a very simple equation. Okay, so it says find all of the values of theta on the interval from 0 to 360 degrees, where sine theta is equal to negative square root 3 over 2. So they're asking me, when they say on the interval of 0 to 360, to go around the coordinate grid one time, because it's 360 degrees. So I'm going to check all the quadrants and see if there are places where sine is negative square root of 3 over 2. Well, I can eliminate 2 quadrants right off the bat, because sine is not negative in 1 or 2. So I just need to go to quadrant 3 and 4 and figure out where sine is going to be square root of 3 over 2. So I don't have to mess with quadrant 1 and 2 at all. All I'm looking at is quadrant 3 and 4. Now, if I go to my little chart, I see that sine is square root of 3 over 2 at a 60-degree angle. So remember, that's 60 degrees between the terminal side of the angle and the x-axis. So that means this has to be 60. And that means this has to be 60.
So at 240 and 300.
So this would, right, so this would be 180 plus this 60. So where theta is 240. And then if this is 60, that's 360 minus 60. So also where theta is 320 degrees.
To do the negative angles as well, like negative 60 and...
You could, but in this case it told me 0 to 360,
okay.
So I only have to do the positive ones. That's a great question, because I don't know on My Left Plus, but they may give you one that goes like from negative 180 to whatever, and you'll have to give the negative versions also. So just pay attention to that. That's it. That's all for this section. So I will open it.